Good day everyone. Today's presentation is about the common web attacks, the 5 of the most critical threats facing web application today. So we'll be covering XSS or cross-site scripting, SQL injection, CSRF, information leakage, and session hijacking. For each one, we'll look at how it works, the real-world damage it can cause, and most importantly, how to defend against it. So let's get started. Our first attack is the cross-site scripting or XSS. The core idea is simple but dangerous. An attacker injects malicious JavaScript into a web page, and when a victim visits that page, their browser runs the script, thinking it came from the trusted site. So there are three types. One is the reflected XSS in the URL. Second is the stored XSS saved in the database like a comment or profile. And the third one is the DOM-based XSS, which manipulates the page directly. So here's how it plays out. So the attacker finds an input field, injects a script tag, and when the victim loads the page, their browsers execute it, stealing cookies, redirecting to phishing sites, or spreading malware. So the impact ranges from account takeover to website defacement. So to prevent this, no is sanitize and encode all users' input and use content security policy headers and avoid inner HTML. So the modern frameworks like React and Vue helps because they skip output by default. So locally, 2023 vulnerability in the Philippines government portal showed the risk firsthand. So reflected in XSS in search parameters could expose session tokens of visiting user, discovered by a local bug bounty researcher. So next is the SQL injection. So one of the oldest and I think is still most common vulnerabilities on the OWASP or OWASP top 10. So it works by inserting malicious SQL code into the admin field into an input field that gets passed directly to a database query. So a classic example is type like admin upper comma dash dash as a username. So the app builds a query where the dops dash comments out of the password check entirely. So the attacker gets in without a valid password. The consequences is the data thief, authentication bypass, or the full database takeover. So to prevent it is comes down to one principle: never trust user input. Use parameterized queries or prepared statement, or apply a ORM frameworks and deploy a web application firewall. So in 2021, attackers use SQL injection to breach the PhilHealth web system. So this is an example of the local example of this attack. So exposing health records of millions of members, names, IDs, medical details. A similar attack hit a major Philippine bank's inquiry in portal in 2019. Next is the CSRF. CSRF is different from XSS, so the attacker doesn't steal your credential. They trick you into making a request you never intended. So picture this. You've logged into your online bank. Then an attacker sends you a crafted link. You click it, your browser sends an authenticated request, and then the bank processes it. A fund transfer you never approved, the bank saw a legitimate login user, then you have no idea. So CSRF targets state-changing actions, so transfer email and account deletion. So to prevent it, use a CSRF token. So I think one common siya on all forms, and then set same site cookie attributes and check origin or refer readers, or require a re-authentication for sensitive action. So example here in the Philippines is in 2020, vulnerability in online government payments portal allowed an unauthorized transaction request on behalf of a login user. So it was caught through responsible disclosure before it was widely exploited. Next is the information leakage. So, information leakage is often overlooked because it doesn't look like an attack. So, it's usually just an misconfiguration or developer oversight. But it's frequently the first step is in a much larger attack chain. So, mo ni ang ito yung first step. So, into a larger attack chain. So, this happen when a sensitive data is accidentally exposed. So, stacks traces in error messages, API keys left in source code or backup files like .env or backup.sql left publicly accessible. So the attacker doesn't even need to hack anything. They just find what's already out there, then use it to craft more targeted attack. So to prevent it is disable verbose error message in production, audit your cloud storage permission, and conduct regular security scans. So one of the a real world example here in the Philippines is the 2016 Comelec breach of 55 billion voters record left accessible without authentication. So more recently in 2023 is misconfigured an AWS S3 buckets exposed government agency documents and employee records. So next is session hijacking. So session hijacking is particularly dangerous because it completely bypasses the authentication. So when you log in, the server gives you a browser and a session token, so a digital key proving your login. If an attacker steals the token, they can present it to the server and get full access to your account without even ever knowing your password. So attackers obtain tokens through XSS vulnerabilities, sniffing and encrypted traffic on public Wi-Fi or man-in-the-middle attacks. So to prevent it is use HTTPS to encrypt all traffic, set HTTP only and secure flags on cookies, implement session timeouts, and regenerate session IDs after login. So a real world example here locally is the in 2022 cybersecurity reports documented cases where session tokens from e-government portals like SSS and Pag-ibig were harvested via phishing and XSS. So the attackers use a stolen session to access benefit details and initiate loan transaction without the victim ever knowing. So now let's back and look at the five attacks side by side. So a few patterns stands out. So XSS and SQL injections are both low to medium difficulty. So even less experienced attackers can execute them, which is why they consistently appear on the OWASP top 10. So the information leakage is the lowest difficulty of all. So sometimes it requires no hacking at all. So just finding what's already exposed. So notice how the targets differ too. So the XSS and session hijacking target the end user's browser. So the SQL injection targets the backend database, while the CSRF exploits the app trust in the authenticated users. And then an information leakage targets the system itself. So understanding this difference help the organization prioritize where to invest in security controls. Let's close with the big picture. So web security is layered. Attacks are target both application and users. And securing just one layer isn't enough. So XSS and SQL injection are old problem but still very much alive. CSRF and session hijacking both exploit trust. They abuse the server's relationship with authenticated user. Information leakage is easy to overlook but often opens the door to everything else. So, and most importantly, prevention isn't just about the tools. Secure coding practices, proper configuration, and continuous testing are habits every developer needs to build. The Comelec breach, the Pearl Health attacks, the Pig incidents, these aren't abstract case studies. They happened here in the Philippines. So web security awareness isn't just theoretical, it's urgent. Thank you, and that's all.